Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. Today, the Sooners land a local PWO and quarterback Jocelyn Malaska from Bethany, Oklahoma. He comes in at 6'1", about 180 or so, extremely lengthy, has a lot of speed. Supposedly, he ran a 4.5 one point in his recruiting process a few years ago in the 2021 class. And now coming to OU from Utah. Again, a local guy that the Sooners were never in on his originally out of high school. Now they're getting him as a PWO, so preserving a scholarship and still able to get a solid corner out of the portal.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this, and my take would be what you said, Hunter. They didn't use a scholarship. He's coming back home. He's got some length and he's got some speed. I think he's a guy that probably could provide some help right off the bat, maybe playing special teams if they want to do that. And then he'll be a depth guy in the cornerback room. That's kind of what you get, but you don't offer a scholarship. So he comes in at the PWO. So I think, for that and filling that role, they've had some injuries at the cornerback room, right, with Jaden Rowe and some other ones. So I think it's a good get in that.
Yeah, and Jeremy, you cut out for a minute, but what I think it really looks like is going on here is OU's just continually trying to get local Oklahoma talent, whether it be from the portal, wherever it may be. Yeah, a guy they missed out on early on, and the fact of the matter is he was on scholarship at Utah. Okay, and he came to Oklahoma as a PWO. That means he probably really wants to play in Oklahoma. I love to have guys like that on the team that are Oklahoma guys that love to play at the University of Oklahoma. And I think that's what it comes down to. And also, by the way, he's got a younger brother who's pretty good.
Yeah, OU's already offered his younger brother Evanson, freshman at Bethany this year. He got the offer at the Brent Venables football camp this summer. So, again, it makes sense in that part. And you mentioned he was on scholarship at Utah, had scholarships offers out of high school from Texas Tech, from Kansas, Vanderbilt. It's not just the super small schools. He had a good amount of Power 5 offers as well. So to be able to bring him in, local guy, PWO, keeping adding more depth to that secondary with Jay Valai, and also keeping a scholarship to do that, it's a big time deal for the Sooners.
Yeah, well, that Brett Venables, that he has the ability to land someone like this as a PWO, speaks to that players, I think, want to come and play for the culture at Oklahoma that's been instilled. Obviously, you saw the exact, I don't remember the exact quote on the Hayes Fawcett edit, but he said something how he just loved the culture at Oklahoma, right? These players are buying into what Oklahoma's preaching. Now, it's not that just maybe he's going to come in and be a contributor right away, but to have a player that was formerly on scholarship at Utah as a quarterback piece, and Utah has really been a pretty solid defensive school under Kyle Whittingham. So it's not like he's just going to be some bum player that's not going to have a chance to play. Now, I don't expect him to contribute, but I could see him playing on special teams. And, maybe later down the line, like his fourth or fifth year, he could have the chance to contribute.
Yeah, look, moving on a little bit, there's a couple other, stories, I guess you could say, progressing for the Sooners in the portal. I mean, the biggest one we'll get to in a minute, Nic Scourton. But before that, let's talk a little bit about the tight end from Baylor. The big deal here, guys, is he was at North Texas before he went to Baylor. So there is the connection with Seth Littrell. I think the Sooners have room, obviously, for another tight end, especially what the offense is going to look like, maybe with an H-back or two tight end sets. So I know that it sounds like the family and Joe John family, there may be also at least a former relationship there. And, also his brother is Nate Roberts in the 2025 class out of Washington, Oklahoma. So I think it would be good to land Jake Roberts because you already are limited in that room, and it would be great to add another piece there.
Yeah, Jake Roberts from Norman High School. OU really should have landed him the first time around out of high school. They didn't. And then last year in the transfer portal as well from North Texas, and I believe we talked about him this time last year as a possibility for the Sooners. And now back in the portal, leaving Baylor, it makes a lot of sense. Played with Seth Littrell for 3 years, played in 37 games there, local guy as well. If OU wants another tight end, Jake Roberts is the guy that fills that void. I know there's been a lot of talk about Devon Mitchell starting next year or playing a lot next year, which is great. I mean, if you watch him at the Under Armour All-American practices right now, he's killing it. Going to be a big-time player, going to be one we're going to see on Sundays down the road. But at the same time, you got to factor in that he reclassified a year early, and the Sooners are going to the SEC. You need depth because right now that tight end room, you don't have much. You got Sharp from southeastern Louisiana, Bauer Sharp, and really that's it. Caden Helms, there's been injuries constantly. You lost Jason Llewellyn. Cade McIntyre showed promise early on, but is he going to be ready or not? So to get another experienced guy like Jake Roberts, and again, he also has a brother that's one of the top tight ends in the class of 2025, so that helps on the recruiting trail as well.
Right, and with Jake Roberts, I think Oklahoma, it's not like they have to get Jake Roberts. I think there's you almost have to because the tight end room, even though you're adding 2 going into next year, you still need to add a third guy because it still isn't very deep of a room, especially with, you're losing really your only productive tight end in somewhat of a form in Austin Stogner. So you do need guys there. And, I think he's someone that would probably come in and I think have a chance to play just due to the experience factor. And, I think that obviously Seth Littrell, he would already know how to utilize his strengths. So I think that would give Oklahoma an advantage.
Yeah, the thing I take from this would be if OU lands Jake Roberts, to me that means they're going to use more double tight end. They're going to use more than otherwise. You bringing him in with Sharp and Devon Mitchell and Kenyon. To me, if you're bringing another one in, you're really expecting to use tight ends more than they did the last year. That's what I take from it.
And they need to. The tight end it's been very well at Oklahoma over the past 10, 15 plus years. And then all of a sudden, the last few years, it's kind of disappeared, especially last year with Austin Stogner getting very few targets or very few receptions at all. So a 2 tight end set is something that Seth Littrell could bring back. And like Jackson mentioned, his familiarity with Seth Littrell needs to be noted. His final year with Seth Littrell had 341 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's really good numbers there. And again, just more depth at that position that could really use it. And man, OU's offense always seems to roll a lot more when you get that tight end involved just a little bit in the passing game and blocking.
Yeah, and obviously the next one, guys, it's progressing. We know officially that Nic Scourton is going to take a visit to the University of Oklahoma on January 6th this week. That will be the last of the 4 teams that he visits. And listen, every Sooner fan wants to talk about big fish. Nic Scourton is the big fish right now in the portal. He is. He's the one that if you can land him, he's a game changer on the edge. He was the Big Ten sacks leader. I mean, we'll see how the other visits go, but it's going to be, you hope when he comes to Norman on January 6th that he's all left it open, because I would think if he makes that visit, it's still open, and we'll see what happens. But Nic Scourton is, in my opinion, guys, the one out there you got to land right now if you're a Sooner fan.
Yeah, Nic Scourton, 6'4", 280. Watch him play. It's like, wow. Like, I can't believe this guy was at Purdue. And that's not even a knock to Purdue, just with how elite of a defensive end edge, that size that he has, you would expect him to be out of high school to Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, something like that. And then now in the transfer portal, you got 4 visits. You got Texas A&M, Florida State, Mizzou, and OU to wrap it up on that 5-day transfer visit window for Scourton. So again, those 3 programs before OU played the NIL game very well. They do very well in the transfer portal. Texas A&M has lost a lot, so you would think they're going to be going all out trying to just fill that room. That defensive line room lost a lot this offseason with the departure of Elijah Robinson taking that DC job at Syracuse. Then Florida State, look at Jared Verse. He's going to be a first-round pick this April. That's enticing. Missouri, look at the transfer class they're putting together, even on the defensive line, and then OU to wrap it out. So would be a massive get for the Sooners. It's just there's a lot of other big-time schools in on this one. And again, that Deion Burks connection needs to be noted. If you guys are on Twitter at all, you see him and Deion going back and forth a little bit as soon as he entered the portal. So maybe the Sooners are able to take another one from Purdue.
Yeah, they need that Deion Burks connection to come through here, along with obviously Chavis. Chavis is going to work it really good, I think. And Jeremy mentioned earlier, big guys that are left out in the portal. There's not a whole lot of guys at this position that are. I mean, the portal closes like now, so this guy is, to me, when we look back 2 or 3 weeks ago and we said you got to get a couple defensive linemen, OU has not got one. So this is, to me, would be a massive close for the portal and would kind of put that really kind of the big thing they needed, I think, to close out the portal.
Yeah, and something that I think needs to be noted about this is, I think Oklahoma even has more of a chance because they get the last shot, right? They get the last visit. Something that, if you watch Oklahoma with the way they recruit, a lot of times they'll try and be the last official visit for a lot of guys, especially players they want to land extremely badly. So I think Oklahoma, right, they're going to put everything they have forward, whether that's Miguel Chavis, whether that's Deion Burks, whether that's Brent Venables. And, I think I wouldn't be shocked if we see on Twitter maybe even some current Oklahoma players, maybe even a guy like Stutzman or Billy Bowman be like, hey, out there on social media, be like, come to Oklahoma, man, we want you. So, and as you guys have said, he's a game changer of a player, someone that would come in and probably start a defensive end for Oklahoma from day one, and someone that I think legitimately could have the chance to be a first-team All-SEC player and even an All-American.
Well, and the other thing is, I would have to think that something that's going to play into his decision is future after next year. And, I mean, if you look at Chavis and Venables, what they've put out at Clemson into the league, Missouri can't say that right now. As far as guys playing on Sundays, right? I think Florida State's got a say in that.
Texas A&M as well.
And Texas A&M, but so I think that's gonna also maybe be a determining factor because I mean, like you said, this guy's got a future in football on Sundays. He's not just I don't think chasing bags and anything like that. So there's a lot that'll play into this, but yeah, this would be the big one, guys. But I know that Sooner fans, you're all wanting to be updated on the portal. This is the place to be updated. Hunter, drop again kind of the dates of the portal and what we have to look forward to the next couple of days.
Yeah, today, January 2nd, is officially the closure of the portal. You'll still get announcements rolling in up until the 4th because once a player decides they're going to the portal, compliance has 48 hours to file that paperwork. And there's many situations where if you guys see the tweets of intends to enter, and then you see another one officially entered, that's why sometimes compliance takes a bit to file all that paperwork. So you can still have announcements through the 4th, but this is the time that guys are going to be making their decisions. I believe it's tomorrow is the start of the official visit window. Classes, I mean, at Oklahoma, classes start January 16th. Other schools even earlier. So a lot of guys are going to be making decisions really quickly. You got to get enrolled in school. You got to get moved across the country if that's what you're doing in the portal. So again, would expect a decision from the guys we talked about and Jake Roberts, Nic Scourton within the next week as kind of got to get ready for class and winter workouts in the middle of January.
Yeah, so there you have it, the Sooner portal update for January 2nd. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you have not done so already, and we'll make sure we keep you up to date. But should be some breaking news, I would say, in the next 24 to 72 hours. So make sure you're tuned into the Sooner Surge for all your content. Till next time, Boomer.
Boomer.